Good afternoon. This is Joe Krut with our monthly recalibration of TSW's report. Today is January the 25th, 2018, and we'll look at our monthly posting of updated settings for TradeStation and NinjaTrader. All performance records will show or be hypothetical simulations. You can get a copy of the PDF by just contacting my office, joekrut@gmail.com, and I'll be glad to send you the PDF so you can read the files at your leisure. It's especially important to do that with these monthly videos because they have tables with lots of numbers in them, and it's pretty hard to catch them on the fly. So be sure to contact me if you need a PDF. This is an example I show every month of a system that has not been retuned since June 23rd of 2013. And you can see it made lots of money, starting with no money and going up above $50,000 trading the big Russell contract. And now it's gone deterioration down where it's had a $24,000 drawdown, basically a straight line, since March 21st of 2016. Coincidentally, that's about the time where we had Trump enter the Republican race, and it seemed like the market kind of changed at that point. The idea behind this is to show you that with switcher or even with a trend line on your equity curve, if you have a good system, you want to keep an eye on it. And if it starts breaking that equity curve, pull away from it and make it break that downward curve before you start putting real money to it again. If you need help with this or you need help with understanding the switcher, be sure to call or contact my office, and I'll be glad to go through the switcher concept with you. Here's a slide I made to just show you the power of trading futures, day trading futures. Of course, that's what I talk about most of the time. And we talk about the 6 markets that have day trade margins on the stock indexes at TradeStation. And the initial margin, for instance, on the E-mini S&P is $5,280 when the contract value is $142,000. So if you had, that's about 3-4%, about 4% margin requirement. Whereas in stocks, you have to put up 50% and then borrow another 50%. The day trade margins, though, is only about 1%. It's $1,320. So, this is a very two-edged sword. You can trade $142,000 worth of stock with $1,320 in your account. So be careful and try not to trade too many, but it's much more powerful than day trading stocks. And you can go through the table and see the implications there. The one that I trade, of course, is the E-mini NASDAQ 100. The overnight margin is $52.25, and the day trade margin is only $1,306. When I show my track record of, I show it trading with $5,000, but you don't need that much to day trade. You only need 1/4 of the initial margin to do day trades. If you have any questions about this, be sure to contact me and we'll go through it in detail. Now, I'm not going to read all the numbers. You're pretty familiar with what we do as far as the inputs. But if you're trading 1 or 2 items, you just pull up your current TSW and change the input values to these new values. Then save that workspace under today's date, and then that one be the one you would trade. And it's fairly easy to do. The other thing you can do is, of course, you can download the TSWs from the Joe Krut private site, or you can call me and I'll be glad to get on with TeamViewer and install all new TSWs for you. And there's never a charge for that. So it's always up to you how you want to handle it. But if you're only trading 1 or 2, it's pretty easy just to change the inputs, save the workspace, and go right on. Here's the razor, and the one with the green there is the one I trade. And if you take a look, we'll show later in the presentation, over this period of time, the mini NASDAQ has been the most powerful futures contract for my particular systems, both with shapes and with razor. So if you're trying to pick, which market do I pick, I'd take a real hard look at the mini NASDAQ, and I'd also look at the shape system and the razor system on those. Now here's razor with ribbons, and remember, if you don't want to trade much, razor with ribbons is your dog, because it'll only trade 5, 6, 7 times a month, and it's very selective on its trades. So it is the one that trades the least amount of time because it has the most amount of conditions. And here's bar none. Again, this is in the day trade mode. but a lot of my folks are using bar none like on a 60-minute swing on both futures and on stocks. So if you want to look at something that's in a swings mode, take the day trade exit on close, make that false, and put it on like a 60-minute bar on any stock or any futures, and you'll get a swing system using bar none. Well, here's the simulated performance. You can see that as a group, Razor with ribbons only lost 573, so it was the best one. As far as the best performing item over this last month, it's been the mini NASDAQ on shapes. It made $2,200, had 20 trades, and 75% of them were profitable. This shows Joe's best, and Joe's best really wasn't best at all this time. The mini Russell made $115. The rest of them were losers. If you take a look at the original Russell, it's up $30,000 since its start, but at one time it was up $54,000. That was that equity curve I showed you at the very first of the presentation. But I keep track of it just to see if that equity curve is going to break and when that math will come back into play. As far as the bottom is bar none, and mini Dow was the very best in the bar none, making $255. I think this is the most important table in the presentation. It shows you that the mini NASDAQ was the best one this month as far as blind walk forward. It made $2,200 in the shapes. It made $125 in the Razor, broke even in the ribbons, and a small amount of loss in Joe's best in bar none. So it was the best. The worst one was the mid cap. The mid cap pretty well lost across the board, and so I think you take a look at the mid cap and say, hey, there's a lot of slip in it. It takes a lot more to trade it. I think that you stay away from it and you focus a little bit on the mini NASDAQ. And again, like I said before, shapes and Razor has been the best in this month's blind walk forward. Now we're going to switch gears and look at a real-time disclaimer on my real-time IRA account, and we'll talk about the performance and why I switched from one to another, etc. So let's take a look at that. Okay, this shows from April 1st of 2017 through October 31st of 2017, and this is where I trade the mini Dow on Razor, and I did 100 trades and I made $1,900, and on $5,000 that was a 59% annualized return. It's in the market about 3.5% of the time. Almost half the trades were right, 49% were right. Made $1.36 for every dollar we lost, and it was pretty good. There's nothing wrong with making 59% in this market when you're getting 1 or 2% in the bank. But this took us 6 months and 16 days, so a little more, almost 7 months of time to make $1,900. I'd been watching the volatility in the NASDAQ and saw that it was a little more volatile, and so I decided to keep the same system that was working well, but to put it into a more volatile item. Let's look at that. Now this is trading the Razor since November the 1st through today, and there's been 42 trades in that period. It's been right at 3 months. Only 42% right, but we made $1.83 for every dollar we lost. The annual rate of return now is 90% based on this. We're only in the market 1.61% of the time. And you can see, if you make about the same amount of money in half the time and you're in the market less, and the annual rate of return is better, this was a good switch. So the only difference really being that we took an instrument that had more volatility in it than the mini Dow. The NASDAQ, of course, is more volatile than the mini Dow. Now we're going to shift gears and we're going to look at Ninja Trader and some things on just shapes on the Ninja Trader. The one good thing about Ninja Trader as opposed to other software is it'll let you test not only inputs but also the length of the bar. For instance, the shapes ES shows that the 7-minute bar length is the very best one. And you might take that information and even use it in your optimizations over on TradeStation. I haven't done that. I've kept them separate. But this is one of the features of Ninja. And Ninja doesn't allow the import-export of like TSW, so you just have to pull up the chart for this period of time, insert the system, and then insert these inputs. And again, if you want to get on TeamViewer and have me do it, I'll be glad to do it, no problem. But that's the way that it works with Ninja. All right, here's shapes on the mini NASDAQ. This shows a 23-minute bar making $7,500, 83 trades in the time, about half of them right. The interesting thing again is finding that interesting increment, the 23-minute bar to trade. Well, here are the inputs and the equity curve for the mini NASDAQ, showing a session of 833.55, which is what I use there, and then all the inputs. Here's shapes on the mini Dow. It shows a 47-minute bar, and you can see it only makes $2,300. That's not as much as the others. 58% correct, 81 trades in that period of time. And when choosing one from another, I'd say look at the equity curve too, not just the summary. This equity curve shows, flat, makes some money, flat, spikes up, and spikes down. A little bit of volatility coming in this last period. I'd probably avoid this one and look back at one of the ones that have a more smooth 45-degree line equity curve. Well, as always, my main products are ideas, service, and support when you need it. All you need to do is go to etrackrecords.com, pull down the support tab, follow the instructions. I can get on your machine, install anything, fix anything you've broken. There's never a charge for that. If you've ruined something, no problem. I'll be glad to fix it and take care of what you need done. If you'd like to try any of my systems on TradeStation, all you need to do is give me a call, and I'll be glad to use TeamViewer and give you a 14-day free trial of all my systems, the 4 we've talked about, and make sure you've got an exact perfect copy of what I've got. You got to make sure that it's something that you want. It may be something I like, but I want to make sure it's something you want before you spend a penny. Well, that's it for the monthly video. We'll have one every month at the end of the month when I do the TSWs. These are my contact information, my phone number, my email, and my website. Be glad to help you with anything I can. Good luck and great trading. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next month.